Hey, I'm Mark Williamson. This is my channel, Age of Exploring, where I go out and explore the world around me, talk about the history and science of where I go. I'm getting ready to go on my Morro Bay trip next week, and I'm going to make some adjustments to the bike. I learned on the Route 66 trip last year that highway pegs would make long stints in the saddle comfortable. So I'm going to install some AltRider highway pegs onto my AltRider crash bars. When you get the AltRider highway pegs, you get two pegs. You get the clamps, the clevis for the pegs, and all the hardware. And you also get a thing of Loctite, which I think is kind of cool. I'm going to paint the AltRider on this black. I'm blacking that out. Got them painted. And now the first step is, I've already figured out where I want them on the bike, but is to fit the clamp and then put a peg in and figure out how you want the peg to sit on the bike. They've designed it so there's 15 degrees of rotation on the peg, so you can put it to where it works best for you. So I've temporarily put the clamp on. It rotates on the bar because I haven't tightened it down or anything. And you can see there are 4 holes on this clamp, and you can actually turn that upside down or around, and it puts the holes in a different place. And then on the peg, there are 6 holes where you can put the pin. So any combination of those gives you these 15 degrees of rotation as you need them to wherever you want to put it on the bike. So what I figured out is I want the bar to be fairly parallel with this crash bar here that ties the two systems, the upper and the lower, together. And I think it's out of the way. And so what I've kind of figured out is I want it in that position and in that hole. And once you've done that, you take it off and then you put it together and the two will do, which I'll show you in a moment. But that's how you figure out where you want it. And I already tested kind of where I want my feet. So I have my regular pegs back here, and then I'm going to put the peg up here. First of all of the bolts require a 5mm hex wrench, except for the 2 that hold on the pegs onto the clip, which is a 3mm. And after experimenting with a little bit, I did determine that I'd rather put it in this hole up here. So you put it there. You put some Loctite on the threads. I like a lot of Loctite because I don't want it to come out. And then put it here, put it together. Tighten it down, and then tighten it down. Now the other side might be different because the bars, AltRider doesn't change makes the bars so that they adapt to the bike, so they're not exactly in the same place all the time. That's why I'm not fitting it to the other side. This is for this side. I'll have the other side in a moment. All right, so I'm going to put the clamp onto the bar now. And AltRider's done a really good job. They made it so that when you put the nut in, and it's a nylock nut, and I still put some Loctite in it, it's held in there, so you don't have to worry about it spinning. You just have to hold it in place. So I can do that. And take the bolt. And again, it's just a 5mm hex wrench. Take the next nut, put it underneath. I don't have to hold it in place. I just have to hold it in place so it doesn't fall out. Take the bolt, put it in place. It requires, I think it's 10 foot-pounds or 7 Newton-meters, something like that. And I've learned that just that will be not torque specific, but just tight. I mean, it's got to be. I will tighten it down tight, probably past what it's supposed to be, but I don't want it coming out, so it's going to be. And I'm going to put it right about against that other clamp, and then it's just a matter of cinching it down evenly, so that the gap on both sides, the top and the bottom, is the same, so it puts the same amount of pressure. What I did learn was that this side of the bar, the clamp, does not match the bar exactly. And looking at it, I think it's because when they bend the bar, it changes the shape. I'll show you what I mean here. Up here, it matches pretty well, but you can see like there's a gap right there. You can see that there's a, well, you can't see it there, but you can't put it on a curve. It has to fit. It fits real well there. It doesn't fit so well over there. All right. Then we have to put the peg on, which you just put some Loctite on here. Put the peg so that it goes this way, and it just fits through the back here. Get the 3mm hex wrench and tighten it down. Now, peg up and down really well, but it has the nice little ball bearing detents. Nice little ball bearings that go into the two holes here so that it stays up and down and it stays solid, although it does wiggle around a little bit. We'll see. Anyways, that's the installation of the right side. Now I'm going to do the left. So I've got the same as I did on the other side. Temporarily put the clamp on the bar, looking for the position I want it in, and I think that's the position I want it. And again, it goes parallel, it comes down. So that's what I'm going to go with. So now it's just a matter of assembling it again. So that's what I'll do. And finally, putting on the peg. Again, Loctite, because I don't want it coming apart. And it turns out, after looking at it, that they made one way of this clamp going in. So one side will have the bolt from the front, the other side will have the bolt from the back, which I'm okay with. It's not symmetric, but then again, you're only looking at one side of the bike at a time. What do you care? So, again, 3mm hex wrench. You need a 5 and a 3mm, and all set. There we go. Okay, so I got the highway pegs installed, the AltRider highway pegs. They're about $190, $188, something like that. So they're relatively expensive, but I wanted a well-made highway peg, one that had a good clamping power, and I think this is pretty good. So that's where I went with. I think they look good. I'll test them out on my trip to Morro Bay next week. And as always, be great, do good, go out and explore.